In this video, you're gonna learn how you could fix jumper's knee. Guys, what's going on? My name is Dr. Nick Bonforte, physical therapist. So when we're talking about jumper's knee, what do we even mean by that? When we say jumper's knee, that's typically an issue we're talking about the patellar tendon. That tendon right beneath the knee cap that goes right down into the bone of the lower leg, and it's just pain right to that tendon. Now, when we think about this jumper's knee and why this happens, it's when this patellar tendon takes on too much loading, and it commonly happens with jumping. So for an example, if you're a basketball player and you go from doing nothing and then you just start jumping, playing open gym and just doing a whole bunch of things, it's too much loading to this region and it tends to spark up. And where it tends to spark up, it could be on the tendon itself, where the mid portion of the tendon, or it can spark up right into like the insertion where the tendon goes into the lower leg on the tibia, called the tibial tuberosity. Now this tendon has connections to the quad muscles. So the quad muscles, there's 4 muscles in the quad that all go down and attach and have fascial connections to this patellar tendon. So when we're loading that quad muscle up, when we're doing these activities such as running and jumping, there's too much force is going through that tendon that it can withstand. Tearing happens within that particular region and it sparks up in pain. So some initial courses of action that we have to take with dealing with a jumper's knee and a sparked up patellar tendon is figuring out and monitoring the loading capacity of the tissue. We can't just keep hammering in your workouts, going 0 to 100 and not calming down. We have to figure out the activity level that won't spark up the discomfort and it stays below that threshold, and then that way you can still continue to do whatever you're doing without it sparking up. And then at the same time, you start to implement some lower level stuff to isolate that patellar tendon to make it stronger and withstand more stress and force for the long term. So let's dive into a few exercises right now. So with this exercise, it's super simple. This is just wall sits, and the idea here is to load the quad that goes into the patellar tendon isometrically. So with this one, it's obviously not a very, very intense exercise, but it's obviously less intense than maybe jumping. So by doing this, we lower the intensity of the exercise and we load it from an isometric standpoint, which has been proven to increase the strength of the muscle and the tendon and also lower pain. So by doing this simple looking exercise, we actually can make some really good headway in terms of treating this jumper's knee or this patellar tendinitis issue. Now, progression off of isometrics is when the symptoms calm down and it's not sparked up as much, we have to put the tendon and the muscular region through more of a lengthening fashion to load it up a little bit more. So going off this is another simple looking exercise, but can be super effective throughout this process. So this one is just a forward reach. Now with this one, I'm on a slant board. So when I'm on a slant board, my heel is elevated and that forces the knee to go even further over the toes. Now, why is that important? Is because that's more of a knee dominant strategy and it helps bias that particular region. Now, this isn't the first exercise that you would be doing right when you're dealing with a jumper's knee problem. This is implemented a little further into the plan of action to start addressing this. So when the symptoms are lowered, able to withstand more force and more loading, that's when it's typically implemented to see the response of how it's doing with this. So again, heel is elevated, I'm reaching down with my opposite leg towards the ground, really biasing this quad region, which then obviously has connections to the patellar tendon, ultimately improving the strength and capacity to this region. Now, also it's important to keep in mind mechanics of jumping. Typically, jumper's knee happens with jumping. A lot of times, people jump and they don't even know how to land. So when you start jumping, you should figure out and teach your body how to absorb the force and the load that it's going through before you just start jumping and try to dunk the ball or something like that. So this one, I'm just working on depth drops. The idea here is to control the body from an elevated surface. I drop down and then I stay in that position for an isometric. I just hold it, and what that is doing is teaching the body how to land properly. Now, do you land like this in everyday life or in a basketball game or other aspects of your things that you're doing that could potentially spark it up? Probably not, but the idea here is to help enforce some good mechanics that teaches the body how to descend and control into this motion. You're not gonna land in a perfect squat position from a jump every time, but when we start adapting the body to withstand that type of loading that it will take it could ultimately help this in the long run. So there you go. Hopefully you found some value in some of these exercises and learned some things and understand a little bit more about jumper's knee, what's happening, and some things you can start to do to solve this type of issue. Guys, if you did find some value in this, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe, like, comment, leave any questions down below, and also don't forget to turn on your post notifications so you never miss a video once I release it. Also, if you want to learn a little bit more about things that you can do for your knee, then check out some of the programs that I have for this region specifically and other regions of the body. And I also have some free guides right on my website. I'll leave the link in this video or down below in the description. Head right over to the website, check it out, learn a little bit more about how these programs or guides can be beneficial for you. This is Dr. Nick. I'll see you next time.